Hello and welcome. I am Xlight and this is my channel. Today we're going to talk about 9 creepy, weird, scary creatures that have to do with Christmas and that you may have never heard of before. Before we get started, if you would please give this video a thumbs up, I would appreciate that. Also, if you are not subscribed and you would like to be, please do that. And if you'd like to be notified when my content goes live, go ahead and click that bell. And now, let's talk about the strange, shall we? Coming in first, if you've spent very much time here at all, you probably do know about this one, because for some reason, we tend to talk about him a lot. That would be Krampus. The word Krampus means claw. And certain alpine villages have big parties featuring a scary clawed incubus who hangs around with, who? The Santa Claus. Krampus also includes men wearing sheepskin, horns, and they carry a switch that the incubus uses to swat children and unsuspecting young ladies. The Krampus's job is to punish those who have been very bad, while Santa rewards the people on his nice list. Although the exact roots of Krampus aren't known, anthropologists generally agree that the legend probably derives from some sort of early horned god who was then assimilated into the Christian devil figure. During the 15th and 16th centuries, masked devils began appearing in church plays during traditional winter celebrations. These events, which often had some fairly comedic and ludicrous elements to them, became part of the pre-Christmas fun that takes place each year. Number 2. Frau Perchta. Eastern European children are familiar with the legend of Frau Perchta, or Perchta. If you are a well-behaved child, you don't have anything to fear. Perchta will slip into your home on the night of the Feast of the Epiphany and leave 1 silver coin in your shoe. But if you've been bad, Frau Perchta treats the naughty children mercilessly. She slices open their stomachs, removes their internal organs, and replaces them with pebbles and straw. Yum. The name Perchta comes from the same roots as Berchtentag, which is the Feast of the Epiphany, and also happens to be the night that she makes her annual appearance. Jacob Grimm associated her with the goddess Hulda, or Hulda, who is believed to have evolved into Frau Hull. Perchta appears in different ways, but typically she is portrayed as either young and beautiful, dressed in snowy white, or as an old, malevolent hag. Some legends claim that she has 1 foot that is much larger than the other, and Grimm believed this was symbolic of her being a shapeshifter. Frau Perchta is often viewed as a female counterpart to our lovely Krampus, and is the focus of huge festivals in some alpine villages. Participants wear masks called Perchten and dance around fires to drive away scary winter ghosts. Today, Frau Perchta is known as a being who rewards the good and kind, but those who lie or steal or are lazy and wicked will find themselves the recipients of her punishments. Moving on. Number 3. Bugatti and the Yule Lads. If you are a child living in Iceland, which I doubt, you've probably been warned about the legend of Bugatti. This is a giantess who lives in the mountains, comes out of her cave in the wintertime searching for naughty children. When she finds them, well, she boils them up in a stew and devours them as a tasty snack. Bugatti is the mother of 13 Yule lads who visit sleeping children on the 13 nights before Christmas. In some legends, the lads who have creepy names like Meat Hook and Window Peeper are just as awful as their mother and eat children too. Bugatti appears for the first time in Snorri Sturluson's Prose Edda, but she didn't become associated with the Christmas season until around the 17th century. By that time, kids were so terrified by the idea of Bugatti that the Icelandic government had to step in and ban the use of her legend as a parenting technique. That's too bad. Instead, she was rebranded and presented in a way that has her spreading holiday cheer. As to the Yule lads, well, they've been downgraded a bit. And if you've been bad, they just leave you a rotten potato now. What a bummer. Next in line is Pierre Fouettard, otherwise known as the Boogeyman. So let's call him that. What do you think? Imagine if Santa Claus had a sidekick who traveled around with him beating those who misbehaved. Well, in France, St. Nicholas has La Pierre Fouettard, the Boogeyman, whose name literally transfers into Father Whipper. Sure enough, Fouettard roams around northern France and parts of Belgium, whip in hand, to give a few lashes to kids who can't seem to get their acts together. The legend of the Boogeyman, Pierre Fouettard, dates back to at least the 12th century. It's a tale about an innkeeper, or maybe a butcher, depending on which version of the tale you are being told, who murders and robs 3 boys on their way to a religious ceremony. After killing them and stealing their money, the innkeeper, or butcher, has his wife chop the boys up into bits to make stew out of them to hide the evidence of the crime. When St. Nicholas figures out what has happened, he resurrects the boys, and the innkeeper / butcher, whose name was Fouettard, repents for his sins. As atonement, he accompanies St. Nicholas on his journey each year on December 6th. Fouettard usually is portrayed as a fairly dark figure and has a sinister appearance. He's unkempt and ragged, he has a long beard, and he carries a whip or a switch with which he flogs naughty children. Nice. Okay, here we go with our next one. Knecht Ruprecht. That was my best German. Or Rupert the Servant is another companion of St. Nicholas. He's familiar to German kids, as is Krampus. Appearing in a long black or brown robe and carrying a stick and a bag of ashes, Ruprecht's job is to ask children, "Do you pray?" If they answer in the affirmative, he rewards them with gingerbread, chocolate, fruit, and nuts. But if they say they don't pray, Ruprecht whacks them with a stick or the sack of ashes. That was my dog yawning. Sorry. Apparently she's not that impressed with the whacking of a bag of ashes. The tales of Knecht Ruprecht go back as far as the Middle Ages, and he's often associated with another German folklore character, Black Peter. Jacob Grimm believed that, like Black Peter, Ruprecht is a holdover from pre-Christian pagan beliefs. Grimm suggested that lore about beings such as these, as well as elves and household spirits who punished unacceptable behavior, were a way of maintaining the social order. I would suppose getting whacked every once in a while might do that. And coming into the contest is Marie Lloyd. In some parts of Wales, the custom of the Marie Lloyd is documented around 1800, but could be much older than that. Much like the Beltane hobby horse, the Marie Lloyd originally consisted of a horse's skull mounted on a stick and then decorated with ribbons. In later years, the skull was made of wood or heavy paperboard. Although scholars differ on the origins of the tradition, one consistent belief is that Marie Lloyd is associated with the practice of wassailing. Between Christmas and New Year's, the Marie Lloyd is carried throughout the village by a group of men who knock on doors. They're singing, they're making merry, and when the inhabitants answer, they are invited to engage in a battle of wits called a Pwnco. I do not know this word. Pwnco, and it's Welsh. So let me know if you do know it. They exchange rhyming insults. It's a bit like a Welsh rap battle. At the end, the Marie Lloyd and her carriers are invited inside for refreshments, and her presence in your house is said to bring you good luck for the coming year. Well, at least it's not scary, I guess. And coming up next is Hans Trapp. In Alsace and Lorraine, France, Hans Trapp is a Christmas boogeyman that parents invoke to encourage good behavior among their offspring. This legend originates in the 15th century when Hans Trapp was a rich and greedy man who was said to worship Satan. When the Catholic Church learned what Hans was up to, they excommunicated him, and his neighbors in Alsace ostracized the man they had once feared. Eventually, his wealth was confiscated, and Hans fled into the forest, penniless. Living alone on a mountain and angry at the loss of his fortune, he descended into madness, and one day attacked a young boy who wandered near Hans's shack. He, like many others, chopped the boy up and roasted him over a fire. But before he could take one bite, a bolt of lightning struck Hans, killing him instantly. Since that time, he serves as a warning to bad boys and girls. Watch out, or Hans Trapp will eat you. Nice. Moving on to Belsnickel. Belsnickel is yet another buddy of St. Nicholas or Santa Claus, and like many of the others, he's not a very nice guy. He shows up dirty, he wears ragged clothes made of skin, and he carries a switch with which he can beat misbehaving children, although he does keep sweets and gifts in his pockets for those kids who are good all year. The tale of Belsnickel originated in Germany's Rhineland area, but the German settlers brought him to North America in the early 18th century. And there's still a popular tradition of the Belsnickel in parts of Pennsylvania, New York State, and Maryland. Belsnickel shows up in the weeks before Christmas so that he can check out who's been naughty and who's been nice. And then he goes and reports on back to Santa Claus. Belsnickel is also referred to as Pursnickel, Beltsnickel, Kris Kringle, and this creepy little character is another anti-Santa. And you do well to make sure you're good all year so that you do not get hit with a switch. And pulling up the end of the creepy character is one that I might mess up. Jólakokturinn, which also means Christmas cat, and we're gonna go with that. Some people hate to get clothing for Christmas, but if you do get a pair of socks or a funky sweater as a gift, it could save you from the Christmas cat. Let me do that again. Jólakokturinn. Iceland's frightening Christmas cat will eat you if you don't finish your chores and get new clothing as a reward for your hard work. Those of you who are lazy, and you know who you are, will become cat food once the Christmas cat peeks through your window. This ginormous cat is also a companion of the Yule lads. So you gotta know it's got an appetite for some delicious naughty children. Danny Lewis of the Smithsonian Magazine writes, presumably the threat of being eaten by the Christmas cat is also meant to inspire generosity in children who don't have to fret about the Yule cat, as giving clothes to the less fortunate would grant them protection from the monstrous feline. Aw, that's sweet. Regardless, if you work hard, you'll get clothes as a gift, keeping you safe from the Christmas cat. This approach appears to work because the people of Iceland put in a ton of overtime, and we haven't heard anything in the news lately about them being eaten by a giant cat. Am I right? All right. Thank you for coming here today. And like I said, if you would give this video a thumbs up, please do that. If you would like to be subscribed and you aren't, why not? It's easy. Go ahead and push that button. And if you would like to be notified when my content goes live, go ahead and click that bell and choose your option. Good night.